Are you ready? Hey, think you can tell us what to do? You think you can tell us what to wear? You think that you're better? Well, you better get ready.
Welcome, everybody, to the Retro Wrestling Revival. Hope everybody is having a great night, a great day, a great evening, a great whatever, wherever you're watching in this great world. I am John Wanglin, and joining me, as always, is my partner, Mr. Richie Reardon. Richie, what is happening, my friend?
Not much, brother, man. I'm glad to be breaking down some WCW wrestling here on Retro Wrestling Revival this week. It's been a crazy week in the world for everybody, and I'm just glad to be in our peaceful setting here with our great community that comes out each and every Tuesday. I love you guys. I'm glad we're developing this great community and doing these shows and stuff like that. It's been fun, so let's get into it, man.
Yes, sir. We are glad to be here.
What's up, Derek?
Yep, what's going on, Derek? What's going on? Everybody else coming in now, live with us, checking it out later. We welcome you to the show. We have such a great time here on Tuesdays. This is my favorite night of the week to stream.
Mine too.
You know,
absolutely.
I know we
by far.
Yeah, I mean, I know we got the shows on the weekends, and this airs on the radio on Saturdays on WDJY. So welcome to all the listeners listening to this on WDJY on Saturday. And I love doing this every week. It's a blast. We're growing new people every week, and we always have great topics, and we have such great interaction. And we're excited to always be here on Tuesdays. It's a great stress relief, and we hope it's the same for everybody else out there too. So welcome to the show tonight. We're going to have a fun show, Richie. We are going to be breaking down the debacle that was WCW in 2000.
The dark years.
The dark years of wrestling. Man, I've never, in 6 years of doing this show, I don't think I've ever done anything focused on anything WCW in 2000. This is an absolute first for me. I think we've talked about it a total of 10 minutes through the years on the show.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, man. WCW in 2000, you're not really, hey, Jeremy, what's up, man? Our highlight. We appreciate you coming back and supporting the show. WCW 2000, definitely the dark years of WCW. And unfortunately, the reason why we no longer have WCW in a lot of people's opinions. So, it's the worst of times in WCW, but you know what? There was some good stuff in there, and some stuff willing to talk about and willing to cover, you know? So, I'm excited, man.
Yeah, WCW is going to be the focus for the weekend on the radio, too. On Sunday, we're going to roll into one of the matches. We're actually going to focus, Sunday is going to be on Vampiro. We're going to watch his match on Lucha Underground versus Pentagon, which is
my favorite match of all time.
Oh, it's an insanely great match. You introduced it to me. It's the only Lucha Underground full match I think I've ever seen. And then we're actually going to watch the debacle was the Inferno match at Great American Bash 2000 against Sting. I don't remember it much, but I
enjoyed the storyline. The
Yes.
final product that they came up with was terrible.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I'm actually excited to cover it because I scrolled through part of it just to see, because I didn't remember most of it. And I scrolled through a few pieces of it. And it is high quality shit at its finest. That's all I'm gonna say on it. So it's a fun one. We'll have WCW 2000 weekend this weekend covering it. Never done before on the show. So here we are.
Hopefully it will never be done again.
I think we're going to do it a few times. I think we're going to do it more than a few times, my friend. So, hey, I want to throw something out there too, Richie. We got a new sponsor on the show, and we're excited to be partnered with them. And they're called Epic Shirts. So, Epic Shirts, man, these guys produce some really, really, really cool stuff. And I mean, they got everything from like retro shirts, movie shirts, funny shirts. And the owner, Joe, is a huge wrestling fan, and he has some awesome wrestling merch on there too.
Cool.
And they're an upstart company, and we've been reaching out to a lot of content creators and stuff to get the word out about their product. So we're going to be partnering up with them, and I'm going to post the link right in the chat, and you'll hear me post it more in the future. So also with this, you can get a 10% discount if you use our code too. And their shirts, dude, are super cool, reasonably priced, really reasonably priced. And these guys know what they're doing. They're really growing something cool out there, and we're glad to be part of it. So I'm going to throw it in the chat, and it's epicshirts.ca. All you got to do is enter the code RW Revival in, and you get 10% off. I mean, how can you beat that? Nice. A cool shirt and 10% off. Yep. So it's right there in the chat for you folks. Check it out. Use that code RW Revival, and you get 10% off on your order. They have some awesome old school wrestling shirts, and it aligns perfectly for the retro wrestling revival. So
there you go.
Thank
you for the sponsors over there at Epic Shirts, man. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Once again, epicshirts.ca. Enter code RW Revival for 10% off. Daniel, what is going on?
What's up, Daniel?
We were having a great chat. Daniel was watching a little No Holds Barred last night. What a
boy. Rip him,
baby. I mean, it's not even Hulk Hogan that's the best in that. It's Brell. So yeah. It's Brell, 100%. Jason Yoakum says, any interest in being on our podcast? You want one of us to come on your podcast, Jason? Is that what you're asking? And let me know what your podcast is, and we can set something up. We're always 100% love to partner up with other content creators. So let me know your stuff if you want us to join you on your podcast. We'd love to. We could set something up for sure. We always love doing that. Mosaic Minds. All right. DM me some info in our Facebook group, on our Facebook page, Jason. Just DM me later some info and send me over your links, and so we'll see what we can do to get something set up. Okay. More than happy to. WCW 2000, though, the topic of tonight.
Dude.
Do you remember a lot of WCW stuff?
So, yeah, I'm watching Nitro every night right now, and basically I'm getting right up to this point. This is right after I'm right after the finger poke of doom and stuff started really going downhill. So I'm coming up to that WCW 2000 era, and you can just feel the shift in the company. You know, Bret Hart's featured in there terribly. I mean, it's just, man, the wheels are falling off the wagon at a rapid pace at this point where I'm at. WCW 2000, though, was very forgetful for everybody. I mean, this is when you had your most hardcore WCW fans turning off the television because after a while, they became to where they were just insulting your intelligence. You know, you had David Arquette winning the title. You had, people that shouldn't have been in the title picture, Jeff Jarrett and stuff like that. And, them mentioning him as being a new blood when he's been around since the 80s. And then they put in Booker T, which, he was in the beginning of WCW's heyday as well, which didn't
early 90s.
Early 90s. So, and Scott Steiner, another one that's been around since the 80s and stuff. It just, a lot of the shit that they did made zero sense at all. Yeah, and then the biggest shit stain of this whole thing, in my opinion, and I'd like to get y'all's opinion too on this, is you put Kidman in the ring with Hollywood Hulk Hogan, as if that's going to do anything for ratings.
It's a dark time, bro. It's a dark time. I got to say this, all right? I was a big WCW mark. They were what I always watched every week. Of course, I switched over later on with WCW or WWE stuff and was watching that too. Daniel says that WCW was a very blurry time. 99 did have the Fun Flavors president segments. They had a few funny ones. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Jimmy King would have been champ, but he had to go settle another traffic ticket.
Oh God,
at his place.
Daniel with the zingers again this week.
He's always got good ones. Daniel's one of the funniest dudes ever. When the Radicals jumped ship to WWE in January 2000, that's when I knew WWE was in trouble. Yeah, Derek.
Those were the workhorses right there each and every week. Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, all those guys. Chris Jericho.
Saturn.
They screwed themselves.
Yeah, Saturn. I mean,
those were supposed to be the next generation of guys, after Hogan's and the Pipers and the Macho Mans and stuff. Those were the guys, since the company had its heyday and the big boom, that should have took over, logically after those guys, after Hogan and Piper and all those guys. It should have been Benoit and Jericho, and they had plans for that. Unfortunately, they didn't stick around, though. They jumped ship to WWE.
Yeah, Daniel says Kidman was the worst choice to fight Hogan. I'd rather have seen Hogan face La Parka.
I'd rather see Hogan face Horace. I mean,
yeah, he did later on.
I know.
Lawrence, what's going on, buddy? How's it going tonight?
Good day, mate.
Good day, mate. We hope everything's going great in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. Wonderful to see you out as always. There was a lot of warning signs that led up to this. I mean, there's so many we could go down, and ones we've talked about on the show, and there's just so many of them. This was, for those who don't remember this, so what WCW basically did is they brought Russo in. Russo came in, and within about 3 months, they got tired of him. But they realized they couldn't get him gone because he had a ironclad 2-year contract that they would basically just have to pay him to sit at home. And it was worth, he said this himself, he said it was worth $1 million for it, $500,000 a year. I don't know if there was extra incentives or anything like that, but it was a standard rate. $500,000 2-year contract, $500,000 a year. So they couldn't get rid of him if they wanted to. And
do you think Vince McMahon sent him down there to sabotage this fucking company?
No, I don't.
I don't.
Yeah, a lot of people, that's like a conspiracy theory. I don't think so at all. No, he was going for the money. He had young kids and shit.
Mm-hmm.
He had young kids and stuff. Yeah, Ram makes a good point. Kevin Sullivan was, brought in right after Russo. They were just doing hot potato, booking and changing.
Kevin
things
Nash
out.
was booking for a while.
He was helping him out, trying to get him in the right spot. We're going to talk about the Goldberg heel.
Daniel, that's a very good pinpoint. We're going to be covering.
We're going to get to that, no doubt.
That's probably the worst move.
Yeah, Russo showed what happens when you don't got someone keeping him in line. WCW was slowly dying before him. Yeah, I agree. It was slowly dying before.
Absolutely. They had no game plan after the NWO. I mean, that's just, the NWO was no end all be all for them. And they had nothing after the fact. There was no vision. Vince McMahon, the reason why he's, had the success he's had in WWE is he's always had a changing vision. Yeah. He's always adapted with the times. He's always adapted with the current culture and the current events. WCW was stuck in NWO. And that was it. That's all they had. And
they had no end game for it. And they had, Bischoff has admitted that too. They didn't have an end game for it. They didn't know how they were going to eventually end that storyline. And it just dragged on forever, So I'm not blaming Russo for WCW's failure like other people do, because you know what? It was a sinking ship before he came there. They brought him in thinking he could recreate what he was doing over in WWF at the time. And his ratings were not that bad, surprisingly enough. They actually went up in some of the things. There's a real misconception. And I'm not like standing up for the guy or anything. I'm just pointing out facts. Was the ratings actually went up.
Yeah, of course. Everybody likes watching car accidents.
Yeah. And they would dip up, down. And then it was just, he made a huge mistake that he was really trying to get everybody on the show. And I respect that you want to get all the talent on. But you'll notice on these pay-per-views and on these shows that he was booking, you got 14, 15 matches on a 3-hour show,
It's not just that, man. And then you forget the people that brought you to the dance in the first place. You got the Hogan, you got Roddy Piper, you got Ric Flair, and all these guys had been top contenders and title holders for many, many years during the heyday of WCW. Mm-hmm. And then you insult the audience's intelligence by making them the old fossils and throwing them out like yesterday's trash. I mean, that pissed a lot of fans off.
Yeah, it sure did. Oklahoma, that gimmick, how awful was that? That was just the worst,
Yeah. What a low blow that was.
Just disgusting, bro. Like, to make fun of somebody's disability like that, and somebody that's, a legend like JR was and doing that. But, they were going down fast. Russo, they got rid of him after a few months, and then they were paying him to just sit at home. And they end up bringing Bischoff back, and then they have this magical idea to try to salvage the company at this point because it's just a sinking ship, as we had said. And they decided to shut WCW down for, I think it was 3 weeks, if I remember correctly. I mean, no new content for 3 weeks straight. They're going to recreate and restart something, and they're going to change what's going on.
Which probably made people tune out even more.
Might have. I remember it as a kid watching it, and I was about 18, I think, at this point. Yeah, I was 18 at this point. And I remember watching it when they said that they were going to reboot it. I just knew it was done soon after that. And then what they did was they ended up stripping all the champions at that point in time, and all the belts were gone and wiped out. There was going to be all new champions. So this was their way of getting like a fresh start, to do it. And it was actually kind of a cool moment on that first show where you see all these young guys, or younger, some of them shouldn't have been in there, to be honest with you, because they were seasoned vets too. And they have them all in the ring to start this new Nitro. Laurent said he liked that one too. It was actually a pretty cool opening to it. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little bit intriguing.
Even the stage I thought was cooler.
It was interesting. They changed the logos around at some point. Maybe it was 99 or 2000.
Yeah, Macho Man's 2000 era was probably the worst in his career.
It was like he was a pimp or something with the girls.
Oh,
and I mean, he was jacked to the gills and everything, but it was very interesting. NWO Black and White should have ended at Starrcade 97 with Sting versus Hogan, then transitioned to Wolfpack in 98. No NWO by 99. Pushed the young guys. Very good points. Yeah.
I agree, Derek.
Yeah, 100%. They had like 90 new blood members and 7 millionaires.
No shit.
Yeah.
Well, and that shows you the star power in the Millionaires Club versus the new blood.
Yep. And
Rand, what's up, brother?
What's going on, buddy? What's going on, Rand? Yeah, Sid breaking kayfabe in there. The whole 90 new blood members and 7 millionaires was 1,000% one of the biggest problems right from the start with it. So they get Russo in on this opening, of the new era of WCW, and they bring Russo in, and he's the mouthpiece for all these new talent. He's burying all the older guys, and it's like the guy has diarrhea of the mouth sometimes. He just doesn't shut up, and he keeps going and going and going and dragging this on. And then they eventually, you hear Eric Bischoff's music pop, on the loudspeaker, and everybody's blown away to see Eric back on camera for the first time in a long time. And everybody thinks initially that Eric's going to side with the older guys and fight against Russo because that was the way it looked like it should have been. And then they have Bischoff and Russo hug in the middle of the ring and align with one another.
Probably one of the most awkward moments in wrestling history because you could tell it was forced, and those guys did not fucking like each other.
No.
At all.
They are the complete opposite in styles, of people. And it just wasn't going to work. So, but
Bischoff still loved Hogan too, and still thought Hogan had
Hogan's one of his best friends in real
life.
Vince
Russo just did not want Hogan involved in any of the title picture anymore.
Yeah, Dusty Rhodes hosted a WCW Classic show. They could have done more with where they could have tapped into heritage and brought back WCW with a lot of prestige.
I agree.
Corey Revere says F Eric. A lot of people do think that.
Right, Corey.
He's a dick in real life. I don't know him in person, so I can't comment on that. I can't make that assessment, Corey, but I will respect your opinion on that. Hogan versus Vampiro. I don't know. I don't like that one. I don't like it, dude. You like that?
I like it. Well, I love I'm a Vampiro.
I know you're a Vampiro guy. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I mean, Vampiro was a great character. I don't know if that would work.
Vampiro is a great storyteller. He may not be the nicest person in real life, but
I'm leaving that part out.
I'm telling you, Vampiro, the character, is a great storyteller.
We're going to cover that tomorrow in depth because he is a great storyteller in a lot of ways too. If Bischoff crane kicked Russo, that have brought the ratings.
Dude, straight up Karate Kid him.
Gotcha. Of course, he's met him twice. Both times he was a dick.
Man. It sucks when it sucks when your heroes turn into villains in your story. And I'm sorry you had that experience with him, man. I've met quite a bit of wrestlers too, and I've had a few incidences like that. So I'm sorry you had that experience.
Yeah, that sucks sometimes when it happens, but yeah, totally. I've never met him, so I can't comment on it, but I definitely respect your opinion, Corey, and what happened. It sucks. Lawrence, once again, makes a good point that I was mentioning earlier for Russo's, so-called bad decisions. He did do stuff with overlooked talent, like Jarrett, Booker T, Steiner, a lot of them. And I definitely agree with that 110%, 110%. I would agree with that. Daniel, definitely, he said he liked Bischoff, was great, but people have different experiences. Yep, 100%. You never know if you catch somebody on a day or whatever. So, but getting back to the New Blood stuff. So they're going to bring out at Sting's Spring Stampede about a week later, I think it was. They're going to crown new champions. That's what their whole thing is. They're going to crown all new champions, and this brings out all the old guys who they start burying, who they dubbed the Millionaires Club. You had your Hogans, your DDPs.
What a
Luger.
shitty name, the Millionaires Club.
So fucking stupid, bro.
It's like the main event mafia from TNA. It's just a dumbass name. Like you couldn't have came up with anything better than that. You had NWO Wolfpack, and the fucking Millionaires Club.
Yeah, dumb as hell. Dumb as hell. And then in the New Blood, you have, Flair was on the Millionaires Club too. So here you got your Flairs, your Hogans, your Lugers, your DDPs, Sid Vicious. I know I'm missing a few here, but you had this core group of people, a Sting that they dubbed the Millionaires, Club and all that. And then you go in the ring and you look at this New Blood, that they have, and you see the likes of Shane Douglas, Jeff Jarrett, guys who have been around forever. I think he said Scott Steiner too. Scott Steiner. I mean, come on, bro.
Finley was in there even.
Yeah. New Blood, man, I bet you some of these guys that work longer in the ring or just around the same amount of time in the ring as like a Luger and a Sting had at that point. So,
was Buff Bagwell in the New Blood?
He was in the New Blood, which he's one of the inaugural champions, actually, which I'll cover in just a little bit. He's one of the inaugural champions, actually, of it, surprisingly enough. And his pairing is just tremendous. I never would have seen.
This is when the Judy Bagwell shit starts, right?
Judy Bagwell on a forklift comes up and in one of these.
Because Canyon couldn't find a pole big enough to hold her fat ass up there.
That shit was
gold. Canyon.
That shit was gold with Canyon and her.
Rest in peace, big dog.
Judy Bagwell on a forklift match, and he comes wheeling Judy, poor God rest her soul, on a forklift.
Yeah, she came out there and did it though, man.
This is WCW, bro.
Canyon, hey man, whatever you got to say about Canyon, one thing is for sure, he's a great heel. I love the Positively Page stuff when he did all that. It was all cool.
Yeah, Daniel liked the FU New Blood too. Yeah, Hogan had that cool. He had that cool shirt. Yep, I like that too. They could have they've been called the Golf Club.
Oh God,
the three faces of Hogan, Hollywood Hogan, and Terry. Derek says the New Blood should have been a storyline to push Mike Awesome as the next world champion. I like that actually. He was massively over, especially off his ECW run. Richie, this guy was kind of like the talk of the town at this point. And he was a big signing for them to get over there.
Yeah, he was. Mike Awesome, but you saw what happened with him. They turned him into the fat chick Thriller and all that stuff.
70s guy.
Yeah, it was like, dude, they never were going to give him a shot.
Yeah, heel Kim Page. We're going to talk about that in a second.
Like, the other thing that irritated me about this time, it was good under Russo and Bischoff. The other thing that irritated me about this time was, and say what you will, like, this guy's a great worker and everything. But Lance fucking Storm had like every title in WCW at one point with Team Canada.
He had the Saskatchewan Heavyweight Championship.
Dude, it was one of the driest times for like those titles ever. I do not want to see Lance Storm have every title in a wrestling organization.
You know what the funny thing about Lance Storm is, and this is where I got to be a fair critic and a fair person to say things. The funniest thing is Lance has just the most negative things to say about Russo. Russo gave him the biggest push of his freaking career.
He had every belt.
Yes, he had 3 titles at one point. Everything but the World Championship, basically, he had. I mean,
with Canadian stickers over the American parts.
Dude, Russo put this guy over to the fucking moon, bro.
Yeah.
Like, to me, and maybe you don't like him personally, but you should be bowing to this guy for what he gave you because they booked him the strongest ever in his entire career. Dude, he's a prick. He seems like such a prick, though, too.
Man, I don't see it with Lance Storm. I'm sorry. I don't know what they saw during this time.
Great worker, dry as paint everywhere else.
Dry as paint. And I guess that was the gimmick they were trying to push to make it funny, but it definitely wasn't funny.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that 100%. But, they go with a lot of these guys that just don't have any, appeal to them. And, you mentioned Kidman. What in the world would make people think that this was a good idea to take Billy Kidman, who was scratching himself to death a year before in the flock, and put him up against Hogan?
Was he 180 pounds soaking wet?
Maybe.
Put him against Hulk Hogan, who's, a heavyweight, been a heavyweight forever, been the heavyweight champion, drew more money than anybody in the fucking business, and you put Billy fucking Kidman in there with him? Come on.
And he got 2 pay-per-view matches out of Hogan with this.
Yeah.
You know, 2 pay-per-view matches you get with him out of this, and the whole building of the angle was about, that he had said something about him for years. Let me get to a couple comments here. I think Steiner at that point was ready to be the star of WCW with his outlandish promos. They were trying to make
Steiner should have been the guy. Steiner should have been the guy.
His promos were the best. Can't forget about the horrible chair shot Hogan delivered to K-Dog. I don't remember that one.
I do remember that.
Yeah, I don't remember that chair shot, actually. Surprised WCW never created an ECW stable, a former ECW to
I agree with that.
Yeah. Shane Douglas would have been a great leader there.
Their hardcore division was complete trash over there. I mean, it was terrible. You know, they had, what was it? Brian Knobbs was the hardcore champion for a while.
And Brian Knobbs, and they had Screaming Norman Smiley. That shit was funny though with Norman Smiley. I gotta say, be honest with that. That shit was hilarious. Lance Scott was coming 2 years later. Boring. Yeah. Yep. That's how he was booked in WWF when he went over there. Apparently, Disco Inferno came up with the idea for Lance Storm to win it. All those belts.
Disco Inferno is like the turd you can't fucking flush and get rid of, dude. Like he's still that way with people.
Yeah,
you know,
Lance Storm, Power Rangers. I was a Kidman fan, but no way he should have been feuding with Hogan. Zero.
Oh, I was a Kidman fan too, man. But he was definitely a cruiserweight.
Hey, Chris Bass, welcome to the stream, my friend. Smiley was awesome. I love Norman Smiley. The dude is hilarious, bro. The big wiggle, the screaming Norman. He come out in all the football outfits for the town or the hockey outfit.
The umpire gear.
Yeah. He was like the R-Truth of WCW at the end. And the guy was hilarious. And he was so
He's a great worker, too.
Phenomenal.
He trained a lot of people.
Yeah. Phenomenal worker. 100%. This guy was great. He was, to me, kind of like the R-Truth at their time of WCW. And people loved him. They loved the big wiggle. They loved the screaming Norman coming out with all the crazy outfits on and shit.
You think Elix Skipper is the long lost son of hardworking Bobby Walker?
He might be, but the difference is Elix Skipper can actually work.
Yeah,
that guy was a good worker, bro.
He's the clone, but in the good way.
Yeah, he's the clone that can actually wrestle. I wonder what would have happened in 2000 if the Radicals and Jericho had stayed. Interesting. What do you think?
Yeah, Daniel. I mean, that's what we were saying earlier. Is it's just like if they would have stayed, they were the ones that were supposed to get the torch passed to them in a lot of ways. Perry Saturn, Chris Benoit, Jericho, Eddie Guerrero. Those were the workhorses.
And you know what we talked about this thing last week on the show. Benoit didn't even want the fucking belt. He just wanted to be out of there. Yeah. He wins the belt, and the next night he's gone and on Raw. Yeah. So, I mean, that's just the reality of what people thought of WCW in the time. I would have liked to have seen an Awesome versus Sid feud of some sorts. Two, huge, behemoths and battle the power bombs. I love it. Like, I think that would be a fun thing. Mike Awesome versus Goldberg in a feud could be interesting. Yeah,
I think Kevin Nash versus Mike Awesome would have been good.
Seriously, there were so many possibilities on what they could do. The funniest thing about this is literally this only lasted for about 3.5 months, I believe.
Yeah,
and it was completely done and over with. It was completely done, over with, and gone because once again, it was this fly by the seat of your pants booking type shit that they were doing at the time.
Oh, the shit with David Flair, dude. I mean,
horrible.
You got the son of one of the most legendary wrestlers in the business, and you squander his shit away with whatever that was. Like, come on. Crowbar and God rest her soul. What was her name? I can't remember her name now. Daphne, God rest her soul. It's sad what she went through and all that stuff, but that angle was just horseshit to put David Flair in. They could have did a lot more with him, I feel like.
And give the kid some time to develop too, because he was just
getting his body. His body looked like shit.
Yeah. Yep. Chris mentions here, he says they literally buried Rick out in the desert. Yeah. That was one of their bright, funny things to do, was to bury somebody in the desert. Right. Derek brings up a really good point here. Let's talk about the biggest sin of WCW in 2000, the death of the cruiserweight division. Yep. Oklahoma versus Medusa was a cruiserweight title feud. This is what people don't realize sometimes. The cruiserweights was a creation on that show, and the focus on them. I'm not saying he created this, but he created the big focus for them at the time. Was one of Bischoff's. He always says it's probably his greatest creation that he ever did, because the cruiserweights was the staple of excitement for WCW Nitro. And then you kill what's exciting, and they had great cruiserweights there too at this time.
Oh, absolutely.
and they kill it like Derek said here, Oklahoma and Medusa. You just made it look like a joke.
That's the great, thing that carried WCW through a lot of their heyday. It was exciting to watch cruiserweights. And then not only that, but you take the TV title, which was like the workhorse belt every week that you gave somebody and you threw it, you literally on TV threw your own belt in the trash.
Yep.
And you had Hacksaw Jim Duggan fishing it out as a janitor. And legendary wrestler Hacksaw Jim Duggan, you have him as a janitor.
Yeah. And let's say this about the TV title too. It's a great point you mentioned there. The TV title was a big focus on the show for many years of WCW.
Right.
It goes back to their, really big part of their lineage and their history. Yeah. And you had some tremendous cruiserweight champions. There was some great stuff television, excuse me. There was some great television champions.
I've actually got a belt that has every signature of every person who held the WCW.
Wow, that's freaking! I remember you had that. I didn't know you had everybody. Yeah. That's cool as hell.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I mean, there was just so many things that they freaking did wrong here, and it baffles me to think that they wasted so much talent that was on that roster and couldn't figure out how to possibly do much for him.
Right.
David Flair as TV champ should have been the gold ticket. WCW could have done more with Oklahoma as Diet Mock, Jim Ross as Dr. Death, Steve Williams manager.
I didn't like the Oklahoma shit. I thought it was very low and you don't pick on somebody's disability, man. There's one thing you just don't do, and that's it.
Jim forgave him too for it, but I mean, imagine how humiliating and embarrassing that must be that somebody's going to mock one of your disabilities that you can't control, with that on TV and make a character out of it. Ed Ferrara seems like a real piece of shit too.
He does.
That's just my opinion. I don't know him, but just from what I've seen, it looked like he enjoyed that shit, to be honest with you.
Right.
And I know he's no longer in wrestling or anything like that, but there were so many just stupid and dumb things that they did. So here's the card that they end up doing. I'm going to read this out. This was the Spring Stampede to crown the new champions. And here it goes. So once again, they got all new champions. They ran a couple of tournaments here for the U.S. title and for the tag titles. And they've literally booked on a 3-hour pay-per-view for this one. 14 matches, Richie. 14 matches.
You're talking about going so many different directions,
14 matches. How can anybody be invested and care about that? And let's be realistic too. None of these are going to get a long amount of time. So what are you going to be able to build up from the storyline that you are creating? What are you going to be able to build up at this point? For anything with short matches like that. Now I'm not saying they all be 20 minutes, but
WWE just went through this with when they had the Raw where they were having the celebrity appearances every week. They were doing the same stuff where they were just piling matches over and over. And it never works. It's a formula that never works. People can't pay attention, especially with the attention span today. I mean, when you pile too much shit in like that, it's just too much,
Way too much. Just way too much. Here's the rundown of Spring Stampede that they end up doing. So this is for the WCW Tag Team Championship. This is a semifinal match. Ric Flair and Lex Luger against the Harris Brothers and the Mamalukes. They end up winning. Mancow against Jimmy Hart in a singles match. You know who Mancow is?
Yeah, Mancow, the radio show host.
Yeah, you got it. So that's gonna put asses in the seats right there.
Isn't that the one that Hulk Hogan ended up suing?
That's Bubba the Love Sponge.
Oh, Bubba the Love. Okay, yeah, Mancow.
Bubba's a gigantic piece of shit human being too. Oh, what a scumbag he is, man. Well, I don't even get started on him. Scott Steiner took on The Wall. This was in the U.S. Championship. He ended up beating him. Mike Awesome beat Ernest Miller in another U.S. Championship qualifier. Then you had Shane Douglas and Buff Bagwell as a tag team taking on Harlem Heat 2000. Stevie Ray
and Ahmed Johnson.
And Ahmed Johnson was no Ahmed Johnson, the jacked guy that he was before. Yeah. He was a blubbering pile of lard at this point. And
you know what, man? I've spoken to Ahmed Johnson on social media and stuff like that. He's a great guy. So I just want to put that out there. He's one of the nicest guys to his fans and stuff like that. But yeah, this was... They were not going to revive the Harlem Heat with Ahmed Johnson in there. I'm sorry.
I've been making fun of Ahmed Johnson on this stream for years, and I'm going to continue on with it forever. The guy fell asleep on a fucking virtual signing me and Daniel were watching as
really?
He was sound asleep, bro. And I ended up buying an autograph from him as a joke. The guy couldn't even spell the word renegade on it.
Nice.
Yeah, it was tremendous. Like, just going to throw that out there. Yeah, 14 matches, averaging 4 minutes a match, like seriously, That's about what it was. It was about 5 to 6 minutes.
Yeah, Daniel,
match.
they were horrible. They were.
Yeah.
That was. You want to talk about the dark years for Raw? That was it.
Yeah, great talent that you're mentioning here, Lawrence. 1,000%. Yeah, Russo was big on like the gang type stuff, and
It was weird, wasn't it?
Yeah, and go back to the Raws with the gang stuff that they'd have the DOA versus the Los Bariquas and the Nation and everything. So yeah, he was always into that. Moving on with this, then you had Sting versus Booker T, another U.S. Championship quarterfinal. Then you had Vampiro beat Billy Kidman for the U.S. title. Then you had Terry Funk beat Norman Smiley for the hardcore title. Mike Awesome was defeated by Scott Steiner by submission in the U.S. Championship semifinals. Sting beat Vampiro by submission in the other semifinal match for the U.S. Championship. Then you had Chris Candido and Tammy Cinch beat the artist formerly known as Prince Iaukea, Daniel's favorite, and Juventud, Shannon Moore, Lash LaRue, and Crowbar. The Juice, baby.
Lash LaRue.
LaRue. Then you had Shane Douglas and Buff win the tag team championships against Ric Flair in the total package, and they had Vince Russo with them, who helped them win. Then you had Scott Steiner beat Sting by submission in the U.S. Championship, and then the main event. This screams new blood to me. Jeff Jarrett beat Diamond Dallas Page with Kimberly for the vacant WCW title when DDP's wife Kimberly turns on him.
That was some of the worst storyline ever with DDP, man.
Just terrible.
Just bad.
Just terrible, bro.
How are you going to take the people's champ at WCW and put him in that shit?
That's what you did. And you had him where his wife turning on him. Come on.
WCW should have brought in Nikita Koloff as Goldberg's manager. It would have been over. I don't know, man. I don't.
Nikita was long done at that point.
Yeah.
Loved Nikita. I had him on the show a few years ago. Great guy. He wasn't necessarily known for his promos either, though. So I don't know how good of a mouthpiece he would have been for him. Another missed opportunity. It was a big feud with Big T versus Goldberg. God, Big T.
T.
It's sad how good the Luchas were over at XPW. The Luchas were so over. Yeah, I know you love Iaukea, Daniel. I'm trying to keep up with all the comments, guys. I'm sorry. Been playing the DEW Wrestling Sim. They have fantasy booking on my brain. There's so much fantasy booking you can come up with. That's cool. For sure. Wasn't Lash a knockoff of Chris Jericho? LOL.
You know what, man?
That was Lenny Lane.
Occasion. I liked Corp Occasion though.
Yeah, cool. The Chris Jericho knockoff I think you're thinking of, Derek, was Lenny Lane. Yeah, Lenny Lane. Kimberly was awful
wasn't Kwee from WCW too?
He was. Yeah, I think he's coming out with Booker's wife Paisley at some point later on.
Dude,
too.
Come on, Kwee.
Seriously,
that should be a Hall of Famer right there. We should have Kwee on the show, dude.
He does appearances. I think he has his own podcast, actually.
You gotta be kidding me, dude.
Did you ever see the video when he wanted to beat the shit out of Buff Bagwell at an autograph signing?
Oh God, no.
Apparently Buffett said some shit about him on a signing, and
somebody sparkles from his
dude. I don't know. Somebody got a video of it, and Kwee went off on him, man, and he wanted to fucking kill him. You know, like, it's really funny. Try to look it up online. And Kwee was not backing down. I'll just say that right there. Kwee wasn't backing, was not fucking backing down from that one. And the signing was like under a fucking picnic bench area that they were doing. It was so pathetic to see.
Wasn't there a fucking piano player during this time?
Yeah,
too?
The maestro.
The maestro. Dude, WCW was the shit during this time. Like,
oh God, it was so bad. And I could just keep going down the list, and I could just name off a million things. I could talk for hours about the mistakes that they made in this era and in this short 3-month time frame. But they eventually call it quit with New Blood Rising, and New Blood Rising is the end of it for them. And they dropped this whole stuff. They basically dropped it, basically.
How can you fail with gold like Kwee?
I don't know.
If David Arquette can get the title, why can't Kwee?
Multiple-time world champion. The Maestro was with Molly Holly. Wow.
Oh, boy.
Woo. Yeah, Lodi coming out with the signs, of course.
Oh, God.
Yep. It was Lenny Lane, Derek. That's for sure. Then you have Goldberg. Let me finish up with this. I don't want to miss Goldberg. Then you decide to turn Goldberg heel. And
you got him, following Elizabeth around and all this shit and getting arrested and him punching through a fucking window and slicing his artery open. And, dude.
Can you imagine working for this train wreck at the time?
No.
No.
I believe Bret Hart when he said there was no freaking vision there at all.
No. The failed bloodbath on Kevin Nash was amazing. Have you ever seen that, Richie?
No, I haven't.
So they were going to dump blood on Nash. So they're having him stand at a certain spot in the ring, and they're going to dump it from up top, from the rafters, all this stuff. So Kevin's standing in his spot, waiting for them to do this to him, and they completely fucking miss. And they botched the dump, and it goes all over to the side of him instead of hitting him. And they even botched that, bro. That's how bad they were. Kevin no-sells the whole thing like Kevin does because he's just cool as shit, he's pretty. Imagine what he's thinking at that point too.
Kevin Nash is cool as shit, isn't he? Like
he's just himself, dude, and he just doesn't give a shit what anybody thinks, and he is his own man. And I don't know, I find him cool as hell.
I like Kevin Nash a lot.
Yeah, I have all the time in the world. I love his
and all the wrestlers can thank him and Scott Hall for the guaranteed contracts.
They definitely made the business a heck of a lot better for a lot of people, for sure. So much bad that went on during this New Blood versus Millionaires Club. Dude. Absolute fart in church, got nowhere, and it's one of the many, many bad things that went on in WCW at one point.
Yeah.
When we watched the Great American Bash 2000 match for the Inferno between Sting and Vampiro, no matter if you like Mark Madden or not, he makes one of the funniest lines ever. Tony, Schiavone, and Tenay are sitting there just dejected as hell at how awful this shit is that they got going on. And you got Mark Madden, who gave zero fucks about saying what he wanted to say. He would say whatever he wanted anyways. And you got him saying at one point on the show, he goes, who's ever booking this shit must be drunk.
Yep.
It was just stupid stuff, man.
It was stupid shit. It was hokey shit, just like Jim Cornette says. It's just hokey shit.
God, it was awful. Goldberg getting locked up in Atlanta for a few months sounded like a good idea. Didn't have to destroy his arm instead. Yeah. Two of my favorite KC guest booker episodes are Kevin Nash and Terry Taylor. Okay. And the original Gorgeous Georges and NWA. You're talking about the Maestro. Yep. Okay.
Right.
Gotcha. Well, that's the conversation we had on New Blood versus Millionaires Club for tonight's topic. I think you guys will agree it was a complete right there. So I think
one of the more forgetful things in WCW.
100%. So let's open up the last part of the show as we always do on Tuesday nights. And what's on your mind tonight? What do you guys want to talk about? What topics are you interested in discussing tonight? So
this is one of my favorite parts of the show, by the way.
We always develop such great conversation from this off what people like. So what do you want to talk about? It can be modern stuff, it can be old school stuff, it can be anything you want for wrestling.
It doesn't have to be New Blood, doesn't have to be anything, just whatever you want.
Anything you want, throw it out there that you want to talk about. We'll get a little conversation going with the group here. So anything on your mind for wrestling this week? What do you got, Rich? Is anything on your mind?
Oh, for me personally, I'm looking forward to watching the Vampiro match with you again, man, and doing the Lucha Underground stuff. That was one of my favorite matches of all time. I think that was a brilliantly made match. Vampiro was in the worst shape of his life, and he still got match of the year. So that just tells you how good it was. And he's a great storyteller. Lucha Underground, I think, was an organization that really could have made it had they had more steam behind them and a little bit better production, I think. And their contracts were a little unfair to the wrestlers. They treated them badly where they couldn't do indie appearances or get sponsorships or anything like that. So that was kind of Lucha Underground's fault, unfortunately. But they had a really big upside to him too. You had Johnny Nitro or Johnny Underground, whatever they called him over there. Ricochet, who was Prince Puma. You had Pentagon Jr., who started out there, which incredible. He made his name off that Vampiro match and stuff. And I hope they do it again. They were in talks of recreating the match, and I really hope they do it again.
Yeah, so they said they're going to be doing it. So they said they're going to do another one. So I'm interested on that. Danhausen. Me and Daniel were talking about this earlier. You've seen Danhausen, right?
I've seen some of his stuff. I don't really understand it or get it. I think
when you watch it, okay, I'm going to throw this out there. When you watch this, I felt the same way at first. And then Daniel loves Danhausen. So, we're always chatting back and forth. He sends me a bunch of his stuff that he does. This guy is hilarious, bro. Like, he is he's like him and R-Truth as a tag team would be comedy gold between these two.
That would be
and He was actually the number one T-shirt seller, I think, for AEW and Pro Wrestling Tees at one point, and they've done absolutely nothing with this guy since they've had him on their roster, and apparently they're going to release him. That's the rumor on the street.
AEW for you.
Yeah. So AEW is going to release this guy who's the top merch seller at one point for their thing, and a lot of people think the reason they're releasing him is because of his close personal friendship with CM Punk, as he calls him Pepsi Phil. Yeah, they call him Pepsi Phil.
But that might be an opportunity for him to go to WWE.
I can see him being in WWE, surprisingly enough. I could see them doing something really funny with him and some good things with him. And the guy's a good worker in the ring, too, from what I've seen. So,
yeah.
But yeah, apparently the rumor on the street is that they're going to be releasing him if they haven't already done so. So I can't, confirm or deny that. That's just what I saw today from somebody. So, yeah, that just wanted to throw that out there with Danhausen. I didn't understand it at first either. I think the guy is hilarious. Like,
I got a question for everybody. Does everybody think that AEW is going to last much longer?
As long as Tony wants to spend his money, I say it does, because the guy's a billionaire. So
yeah.
But the Warner Brothers Discovery deal has not been renewed, and they lost the rights to the NBA as well. So that could definitely affect them in a very negative way too, because Turner might be wanting to go away from the sports side of things, or some types of sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it. So that could be a really big blow for them. So
absolutely,
it's going to be interesting to see on that. Daniel says Lucha Underground was something you had to experience for such a small time, but it was so much fun.
Oh, and the crowd was so cool. I mean, could you imagine going to one of those shows? It was intimate. It was right there. It was much like a ECW environment. It was very, very cool.
What was the the arena what did they call their arena that they were broadcasting in?
Shit.
Was it like the Temple or something?
The Temple, yeah.
Yeah. The few things I've seen in it were good. The only full match I've ever seen is Pentagon versus
I love the Gift of the Gods belt. I thought that was so cool. They would have a tournament where each person got a medallion. It was an Aztec medallion, and then they put it on the belt until it was complete, and then whoever won had all the medallions on the belt. It was they had some really cool ideas. They really did.
Yeah, 100%. Epic Shirts, our friends at Epic Shirts just popped on. Great to see you guys out. You're right. They won't go out of business because Tony's dad won't run out of money.
Epic Shirts, what's up?
Epic Shirts are great new sponsors of the show here and our partners. So we're looking forward to Epic Shirts. Welcome to the stream tonight. We're glad you guys came out. Yeah, he's got more money than God, man. He's not doing anything with it. He's never doing it. I don't think the guys from Mexico ever ended up working for Vince. That's about it. Yeah, they didn't bring too many over, or else they did some kind of racist gimmick with them.
He was never able to get those stars to transition over, and Vince is he's a person who likes bigger stars, muscular guys and stuff. So I think he was just never into it. Like, you saw the failed lightweight division as well. So
why didn't Vampiro go to WWE after WCW? Could have been in the Invasion and feud with Undertaker and Kane. That could have been. Why do you think he didn't, though?
Well, Vampiro had just gotten in a motorcycle accident during this time, and he had just actually gotten over his neck surgery before that with the Mike Awesome incident where he got dropped off the bus. So he was battling some injuries and stuff like that. So they didn't think he was actually going to be able to come back after his neck injury.
Mm-hmm.
Then he got in a motorcycle accident. And I think that Vampiro might have overpriced himself too when he was in negotiations. It's a good possibility as well. From what
he had some drug issues at the time too, right?
He had some drug issues and alcohol and stuff like that. I mean, he was kind of a basket case at this point, and it's definitely a missed opportunity because Vampiro could have brought a lot of positivity to that situation.
Apparently, in a shoot interview, Vampiro said he came up with the Undertaker gimmick and told WWF, and then when he applied to join WWF, they didn't sign him. They stole his gimmick, blackballed him, and gave the Undertaker. But who knows? If Vampiro says something like that, chances are it's probably not true.
Yeah, that's definitely not true.
He fabricates the truth a ton.
I will say though that they did steal the Gangrel gimmick. I mean that was a direct copy of Vampiro.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of the stuff that comes out of his mouth though is definitely not true.
For sure.
The guy loves to spout out some interesting things. So he would have been fun. Like you had mentioned against Undertaker, Kane. Like I could have seen that. That could have been interesting. He was super. I mean, he's one of the biggest stars in the history of Mexico. Let's be realistic. Yeah. Probably the number 2 one right behind Conan.
But that's probably why he would have failed in WWE as well.
Yeah.
None of those guys transitioned over very well.
I don't think at that time he would have been a good fit for the reason of, I think his ego sometimes is his biggest problem.
Lawrence, you're trying to give him the kiss of death that TNA got, man. Come on.
What did we say a few weeks ago,
They're
though?
still recovering from that shit.
What do we say about you bring Bischoff, Vince, and to work with Tony? They all, pair up together and create the most epic storyline of all time.
That'll be the Billionaires Club.
Seriously, the Billionaires Club coming in. Those personalities.
The Billionaires Club plus Bischoff, because you can't really consider him a billionaire.
No, he's not. That would be so funny. I still stick with that. Let's see. Is Bruce Pritchard still employed? Yeah, he's still employed currently with the WWF. WWE, excuse me.
I don't think he's going anywhere.
Yeah, they're too woke.
Lawsuits falling apart, by the way.
Yeah, they are too woke to hire Hulk. Tony's already said he's banned from AEW. And what a pathetic thing that was when he said that. Did you ever hear that when he said that?
Yeah. Dude, what is wrong with Tony Khan?
The guy is just, let's be realistic. He's not in the wrestling space. He's not a pimple on the ass of Hulk Hogan and anything that he's ever done. Hulk Hogan's the biggest name in the history of professional.
Lucky if Hulk Hogan even considered coming to your show.
It would be the greatest blessing he ever got if Hulk would give you an appearance over there. You want to talk about your ratings going up? Your ratings are going to go up right that night, at least. If you bring him on. When Tony said that, 100,000, they are the most sensitive and woke fucking product over there. It's just insane. I definitely agree with you on that one. It is the same one that MTV Wrestling was at. Yeah, that was called Wrestling Society X. Have you ever seen that, Richie?
Yes. Vampiro was involved in that. So was X-Pac.
Yep. They had, I think, 4 or 5 episodes maybe, and it just never got off the ground with anything.
The DVD.
Do you really?
Yeah, I got it in Pro Wrestling Crate.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And a T-shirt.
Let's see. WWF tried to do a lucha brand to compete with WCW, but it never took off in partnership with the IWA in Puerto Rico. Okay, interesting.
Yep. Savio Vega was actually supposed to be in charge of that.
Broken Back is his way. A lot of people hate him for some reason, but that's probably why he never went to WWE. Too much heat. Nobody wants heat anymore on anything. Yeah. The Canadian Montreal vamp from Mexico. He is from Canada. He's from was it like London, Ontario, or Hamilton, Ontario? Thunder Bay. He's from Thunder Bay. Thunder Bay. Sorry, I should remember that. Vince would see if they're big in Mexico and go, is that a goodwill?
Daniel, that's a good one.
Raven did all right against The Undertaker and Kane. Raven and Vampiro ICP as the Deadpool versus the Brothers of Destruction would have been awesome. I don't know why I don't remember the Deadpool when we talked about it last week. I'm just blocking out this period of time, but I do not remember the Deadpool at all.
Yeah.
So I don't remember it. Tony Khan is doing too much coke.
Yeah, he's the Oscar De La Hoya of wrestling.
Bro, that guy's bumping lines over and over again, guaranteed somewhere. Oh.
You got to be to have that hairdo. I mean, Jesus.
What's going on up top there?
Dude, that's a mop. Somebody needs to turn him upside down, wipe the floors with that thing.
Here's a great point from Derek. Tony banned Hogan, but signed Flair. Make it make sense.
Yeah. You sign a dude that does the helicopter in front of a woman on an airplane. Yep, good job.
New Jack said Wrestling Society X. Bet I can get blackballed there. New Jack can do that too. Seth Rollins was on Wrestling? Really?
Yep, he was.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. I did not know that.
That's a good catch there, Derek. Yep, he was on there.
I wonder why that never got off the ground.
Wrestling Society X was getting off the ground. The problem is the funding behind it got pulled immediately. So
interesting.
Bad management.
Is anybody watching Double or Nothing this weekend or the King of the Ring? What's your pick for the King of the Ring winners? We're down to Gunther is going to be in the final, and the winner of Tama Tonga and Randy Orton will take on Gunther in the final. Who do you think is going to take the men's King of the Ring?
I think Randy Orton.
You think Randy's going to beat Gunther?
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm going to go with Gunther on it because Gunther actually tapped out or made him pass out in the submission last night. I can't remember which. What's his name? Jey Uso. Jeremy had told me that he actually tapped him out. I think they're pushing Gunther to this point. I think it's going to be Gunther. I think they're going to do something with probably the New Blood, or not the New Blood. They're on my mind. The New Bloodline costing Randy his match after he beats Tama. Did you see the clip online that somebody made of Tama Tonga in the back when they taped him? And
yeah, I did see that.
where he sounds like Beavis and Butthead.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the hell he was doing in it. It was
I don't
insanely
know.
stupid. So
That is stupid.
yeah, who's in the finals, Daniel, or anybody out there? Who's in the finals for the Queen of the Ring? So I don't even know who's in the finals for that one. Daniel's going to go with Gunther as king and Lyra Valkyrie. I had the three choices. Who are the three choices left for the Queen of the Ring right now? Because I didn't see that at all.
Bet you Jade Cargill's in there.
No, she got disqualified against Nia Jax
yeah.
last week. I know Bianca. I think Bianca's in one of the qualifiers this week too because she beat Tiffany Stratton. All right, so there's an interesting topic that we can talk about real fast. Did you see the Tiffany Stratton stuff? So Tiffany Stratton ended up reposting a clip of her chopping Jade Cargill. Somebody had made this. She didn't make it. And there's like audio that's dubbed in and it says "you black bitch" in it when she chops her. So
this is not us saying this, by the way. Anybody out there listening, we're not saying that.
Yes.
Like,
don't spin it. We're just quoting what got her in trouble, what got her heat with the IWC. So she immediately took down the repost that she did, and she obviously didn't realize, I don't think, what she had put out there. And it's actually from a movie. The part is from a movie about racism called Higher Learning. So she accidentally did it. It was a stupid move. You think about what you do before you post it. She's like 23, 24 years old, this kid. You know, she's getting pushed to the moon, and people are wondering if she's going to have repercussions. Everybody's out to cancel her.
You know the woke community is going to come out in force over that for sure.
Dude, it was a mistake. WWE. It was a fucking mistake, you know, like she didn't pay attention, really, seriously. Like, give people a shot. And I guarantee you she had no ill intent, ill will behind it. And she probably, I almost guarantee she went up to apologize to Jade Cargill, which she didn't probably mean anything. I'm sure she did that. Just stupid. And she was going to be my pick for Queen of the Ring, but then apparently, that's not going to happen now because she lost to Bianca. So I don't know if it's punishment or not. Who knows? We're not there behind the scenes, but I figured I'd bring that out right now. Hey, Jude. Yeah, the new bloodline needs something because it's failing horribly. Solo's not a draw.
Yeah, I knew that was going to happen too.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see Roman come back and kick the shit out of him.
Solo is just not the guy.
He's blah.
Yeah.
I don't get Solo. He's not a leader of any faction to me ever. All right, real quick before we continue on with this, because we'll go past our hour. We do have to wrap this up for the radio side of things, but everybody else that's on the live stream, stay with us for a little bit longer. We have to cut this at an hour for our radio listeners. So for everybody listening on WDJY in Atlanta on Saturday, you got to come out and join our live stream every Tuesday night when we do this. It's about 9 to 10 p.m. when we start this, and it's on our Facebook and YouTube, the Retro Wrestling Revival. Check it out. Come and join us. So we'll see you guys tomorrow on radio. Have a great rest of the night, and thank you for listening to the Retro Wrestling Revival. All right, moving back in for the rest of the stream. We're going to keep going. Tiffany should do a Barbie gimmick, have a male counterpart play a Ken gimmick playing off the release of the Barbie movie. I'm going to let her go the way she is.
I'm sorry, man.
I don't want to see Barbie on WWE TV. Yeah, WWE should use that as a storyline, 100%. Why would you not? Take the heat that's coming from this situation and use it. They've done it
so many times in the past, like, with the wars and all this stuff. Like, they even did it with Muhammad Hassan with 9/11. Like, so you're going to tell me they can't use this? And it's unfortunate because you know what? Them being a woke company now, they're not going to do it. And it would print money.
Yeah. I wanted Tiffany to be queen. She was the perfect choice. She really was. I thought it was a huge mistake. Yeah, Solo isn't a draw, and the other members, nobody knows. Yeah, it's no disrespect to the rest of the members in it, but they're not Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is a star. They're not.
That's why all you Cody crybabies out there, I was saying this from the get. Once you end Roman's title reign, what do you have left for the bloodline? You have nothing.
They're going to bring Jimmy back in this round to set something up. We've talked about it through the last few weeks, few months actually on the show here when we were kind of predicting this. They're going to bring Jimmy back, and he's going to team up with them in some type of match and help them out. So I thought they would cost Jay the match last night on Raw, but it didn't go that way. So a woke stable versus a cancel culture stable. Woke versus counterculture could be a good feud in wrestling. It could be fun.
I agree. I agree.
Use what's going on in society now. Use it to your advantage to make money off of it, to make an angle out of
They've
it.
always done it in the past. Why not now?
Why not? Heyman's definitely trying his best to make the Bloodline guys look legit, but when Roman comes back, it's over. Good point, Daniel. He really is doing. That's the only reason this hasn't completely flopped for me is because of Heyman. Because Heyman is so good at what he does, Richie, that he can make anything work just about.
Yeah, but that Solo guy is just not it.
I say almost anything because he could not get Ryback over, and he could not get poor Curtis Axel over. That ain't Cesaro. So, yeah, but that wasn't his fault. So it wasn't his fault. The New Blood line reminds me of the NWO Black and White when all the stars went to the Wolfpack and nobody cared about it. Yeah,
that's a great comparison.
Great comparison, Joe. 100%. Lorraine said, heard anything on the new ECW MMA style brand being talked about? No, I haven't heard anything at all.
It's supposed to be an MMA style brand. If that's the case, then I'm out already.
That's what they're saying. And
anytime they do the Brawl for All, the Underground Fight League, all this shit, it always flops. I'm good on that.
I don't know if it was AEW or WWE just did something with it in one of their things recently, like some type of underground fight club type stuff again. I don't remember. I don't watch the current product all the time, but I heard that somebody just did something with it recently. But no, I haven't heard anything else on the recent ECW stuff. WWE is holding back Heyman, which makes no sense. Heyman is the best talking manager, and it isn't even close. He might be the greatest talker in wrestling history, too, for many people. So definitely the guy is amazing. He's cowering in the background. You just put him in the Hall of Fame, and now they won't let him cook for them. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. Who knows what they're going to do when Roman comes back.
Cancel? Yeah, right to cancel. Instead of right to censor. Dude, Rand. That's money right there, dude.
Love it. That's the money, dude, to quote Stale Cracker. And you could put that on a cracker.
You could put that on a cracker, dude.
Apparently, Cody has relaunched Dusty Rhodes' old promotion, Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling, which is cool.
Really?
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Survivor Series War Games, Reigns, Usos, and Zayn versus Solo, Tama, Loa, and Jacob.
All right, I don't want to see Reigns as a face.
It's going to be short-lived. It's going to be short-lived.
It's going to be terrible. They're going to undo everything he just did.
Yeah, but the fans are clamoring for it right now, bro. They're going to do it, and it's going to be for a short time. They're going to have. There's no other way you're going with this new
Solo. I'm calling it now. When Reigns comes back and they put him as a face, it's going to flop.
Well, you got to have The Rock in there if you want to make this really, really reputable. Rock, Solo, Tama, Loa, Jacob Fatu. To me,
that was my thing. Like with this new bloodline, they should have had The Rock as the head of the table. Then you have Roman Reigns as the head of the old table, and you have them meet in the middle at Mania. And maybe that's the plan that they're going with. I don't know. It could be.
So they're teasing this stuff that Paul hasn't talked to Roman, and Solo is saying that he's talked to the tribal chief, and he has talked to him. I think he's referring to The Rock, and that's what they're talking about. So
I really hope so.
That's what I think it's going to go. Because of course,
for them to go with the storyline that way.
Yeah, I mean, he's out taping a movie right now. But if I do, this is what I've always thought too, Derek, was a Survivor Series War Games match that you kind of culminate this feud with this year, and you really set it off. To me, I like your pairings right here: Solo, Tama, Loa, and Jacob. Add in The Rock, make it a 5-person match like a War Game style with 5 people, and then do Reigns. This is what I would do. I would do Reigns, both the Uso brothers. Pair them back together for this moment. He said Sami Zayn, which he would definitely play a part in it here because of his alignment for all that time with the bloodline, and he was really good. And then I would bring back I would do it either 2 ways. I would bring back something that was a big enemy of Reigns in the past. There's 2 people that it could be here for me if you're going to do a 5th one. One would be Brock Lesnar. It would be fun to have him join up with them for the night. One of Reigns' biggest, rivals of all time at one point. Or if you really want to go with booking Cody versus The Rock later on, bring in Cody Rhodes to help out Roman Reigns.
Bring in Seth Rollins.
Yeah. There's so much you can do with this, if you want to do it right. That's what you got to do.
I would even go further, and I would have Paul Heyman cost Reigns the match and team up with The Rock.
Good point. I like that too. And he's notorious for doing it in the past too. Yeah. He's notorious in the past about doing it. They've also talked about going back to the traditional Survivor Series, and I always was a fan of it too.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, I was always a fan of it too. Reigns comes back as a heel, but not the new bloodline turn on him by orders of The Rock. Yeah, that's definitely a way they could set it up too. Jude says Roman will get a huge return rub with the crowd. He could ride that for 3 to 4 months out as a face and then turn. That's what I would do short term.
Yeah,
he's way better as a heel, but short term, do it this way. Rock Roman at Vegas is the only place to do the match. Cody can get out of this story. Do Cody against anyone else? I agree.
I think it needs to be Cody versus Punk.
You like Cody and Punk?
I think that would be a great match. I think that would be a great match, and it would be a good one to put in this setting, and have Punk take the title.
I'll go a little further. I like this if they actually can sign this guy. I would love to see Cody versus MJF.
Dude, I wanted that so bad. The Monday after Mania would have been the perfect. Mania would have been the perfect time to do.
He had surgery on his shoulder, so he's not. This is the rumor. He's had surgery on his shoulder, and he's not, allowed to compete for a period of time. That's to me, if they can get MJF to sign with them.
I'm gonna tell you like this. In my heart, I feel like MJF's staying with AEW.
I do too. I don't think he's going to be going anywhere, but I would love to see him in WWE. And
he likes being the big fish in the small pond.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it either way, but I could definitely see him leaning more towards AEW, and Tony's going to throw a Brinks truck of money to him to keep him if he already hasn't re-signed. But if he hasn't, he'd be a great opponent for Cody at WrestleMania next year. Yeah. Rock comes in at War Games like RKO and CM Punk. Okay,
probably.
Yeah. Roman Reigns, the Usos form a Bloodline NWO Wolfpack style to feud with the new Bloodline faction. Yep. Rock doesn't need Heyman because he's a talker. I agree with that 100% on that part of it, Jude, for sure. Makes no sense to put The Rock and Heyman together. Good points with that because Paul is the talker.
You can't have a face Heyman.
You can. But I see both.
If you're gonna make Roman Reigns a face, how are you gonna bring a face Heyman? No,
Roman's a great talker too. He doesn't need Paul to be his mouthpiece necessarily. He's a really good talker too. But I can understand that too. The Rock will definitely overshadow anybody on the mic.
You could tie so much history into it with Heyman being behind The Rock. You could say, hey, years ago I made a mistake, being with the next big thing and screwing over The Rock during that time. Like you could go so many ways with it.
Yeah, Cody's story ends in Vegas when Dirty Dom takes the gold. I would love that. That'd be awesome. Boy. Sign me up for Dirty Dom.
Dirty Dom taking the gold.
What if they got Moxley back and they do a Shield reunion to help Romans? If they could, it'd be great.
Moxley's not even.
He just re-signed a 5-year contract with them last year.
And he's a big deal over there, isn't he? Isn't he like an agent or a...
He's the IWGP champion right now, and he's a huge focus. I think they said last year he signed a new 5-year contract with them. I would love to see
him. They had him doing something behind the scenes too.
I'm sure he's probably helping out in some way. I mean, the guy loves wrestling and he beats to his own drum 1,000% in life. I would love to see him come back and do a Shield reunion and help Roman, but from what I've heard, he signed a new contract with them last year for 5 years. So, and with Vince going, anything could happen. The WWE. Who's coming back? This is interesting. All right, it just popped in my mind here right now. You know who's coming back?
No,
potentially, and he admitted that he's in talks with them right now. Jesse Ventura
in WWE.
Yeah, on like a Legends deal. He's had this awful history with Vince, and he spoke about it recently that he has been in contact with them about doing a Legends deal with them now that Vince is gone.
Big deal.
I know.
He's still out there.
He's out in the Baja with a silo of tortillas and 1,000 gallons of potable water.
Give me a break, dude. Jesse Ventura.
When does Orton turn on Cody and we get that story? That's another potential for WrestleMania 2 next year, Derek. I'd love to see Cody and Randy as one of the main events at WrestleMania next year. The story's already written for them. So much they can do. This Dolby.
Yep.
LA Knight versus The Rock at Mania. I think the match is The Rock and Roman at Mania for me. Yeah, LA Knight would be a great on the mic with taking on The Rock if they had a verbal battle of some sorts. I would love to watch that, but Rock's going to be in a huge marquee matchup for sure. Heyman can save The Rock from 20 minutes of babbling at times and falling over himself. Yeah.
It's very true.
LA Knight with Stone Cold versus The Rock with Rikishi. All right. Mox is probably bleeding right now because you're talking about him.
Yeah, no shit.
Boy, that guy he mutilates himself. He's a masochist all day. Don't you think, Richie?
Oh, absolutely.
If I don't get a Black Hammer and White Lightning figure set, what's the point? Have you ever seen that, Richie? Do you know the context behind it? So the movie Major League 2, great movie. You know, I love the Major League movies, except for the third one. First two are great. And they have like a scene with, you know, the character that was originally portrayed by Wesley Snipes, Willie Mays Hayes. They have a new actor, Omar Epps, in it.
Willie Mays Hayes,
the fast guy. And they have him that in the off season, he went to go tape a movie. And then they show the trailer for it on the Major League 2 movie. And he's all proud of us. And the movie's called Black Hammer and White Lightning. It's Willie Mays Hayes and Jesse Ventura as Black Hammer and White Lightning.
Oh God.
It's bring me that match right there. Jesse returns to WWE, cuts a shoot promo on his past with them. And Jesse will definitely say whatever he wants if they bring him back.
Uncle
for sure.
Howdy versus Kane at Mania.
I don't think you're ever getting Kane back again.
I don't think Kane's ever coming back.
No, he's doing good with his political career right now. He's very committed to what he's doing, whether people agree with it.
Uncle Howdy's going to be like a game changer here.
Let's see what they do, because they keep doing all these, QR codes with stuff. Liv Morgan, who's no longer dating him apparently now too. She said she's single now. Is
it because of storyline though with Dominic Mysterio? Do you think?
No. She said it on like a real interview. Like she said she's basically too selfish to be with somebody right now, so she is going to be single. So. Yeah, Mox comes in to save LA. I'd love to see Mox, but it's not going to happen anytime soon. You run like Maze, but you hit like shit. The wise words of Lou Brown. What a guy, Lou Brown. You got to watch Major League 2. Have you ever seen the first? Have you ever seen the first one?
Yeah, I've seen.
Okay, you got to watch the second one. It's fucking hilarious. Just gonna throw that. For all the single guys out there, go after Liv Morgan then. The IWC drowned after Liz said she was single.
Yeah, no shit.
Give me no holds barred too, you cowards, you jockasses.
Dude, you got to have Rip'em in there too.
Dude, the best part of that movie is Kurt Fuller, who plays Bro.
Oh, for sure.
That fucking guy is the best in it, man. Like, me and Daniel always take the lines from him in that movie. Rip says the worms are too good for you. Rip says the maggots are too good for you. Get over, you goddamn jockass. Imagine that name at the time. What's that smell?
I made my wife watch that movie. She's like, what is this hot garbage, dude?
Yeah. Rip's brother is still paralyzed and no holds barred too. He's still not moving. Randy, that son of a bitch, is still milking everything from what Zeus did to him in 1989.
Jesus. What a great movie.
Man, really, seriously. All right, everybody. Well, that's going to wrap us up for tonight. We hope you guys had a great time with us. We always have a great time with you all, and we can't appreciate enough each and every one of you coming by week after week and joining us here on the stream. So if you got any topics you guys want to hear, please let us know. And, if you ever have a topical issue that you want addressed here on the show for us to talk about, please just feel free to email us, at retrowrestlingrevival@gmail.com, or you can just direct message us on the Facebook site. And if there's ever a topic you want to see, or talk about, on the show here, send it on over, and we can definitely look and see if we can get in over the coming weeks, because we always do topicals here on Tuesday. So
yeah,
Cody plays Rip's young brother.
Oh boy.
Oh, we appreciate it, Daniel. We appreciate it, Lawrence. We appreciate it, Ran. We appreciate you. Everybody that's come in tonight. We really appreciate it. So any closing thoughts before we get off the show tonight?
I appreciate all you guys coming out again, man, making this a fantastic show. All of our followers, go over there, subscribe to the channel and stuff like that. Leave a comment. Let's make it interactive. If there's anything you guys want to talk about, be sure to bring it up, man. We're open to do some topics and get you guys some good content. We want to keep making what you want to see. And this is a fun community, man. This is what I look forward to each week. So I appreciate you all, and we'll see you down the road.
We appreciate it. Thanks, Derek. This is another great show, you guys. I appreciate you guys collaborating with Pro Wrestling Takeover. Yeah, we appreciate it, too, for giving us the space on your wonderful group. Pro Wrestling Takeover.
Thank you, Epic Shirts.
Yeah.
Too.
Once again, go to epicshirts.ca, and you get 10% off on their great stuff over there with our code RW Revival, 10% off at epicshirts.ca. So please go check them out. Check out Pro Wrestling Takeover. Check out Laz's. He's got a great fan base too. Laz, drop it in the comments, my friend, and that way you guys can join another great pro wrestling group. But folks, we will be back again real soon. Every Tuesday night we're here. Chris and I will probably be doing a show this week as well. And don't forget the radio every Saturday and Sunday night, 9 to 10 p.m. on WDJY in Atlanta. So lots of great stuff coming up, guys. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thanks, Chief. Definitely send them on over. Laz's Pro Wrestling Fan Group. Lots of good stuff here for everybody. Always down to help out our friends. Yeah, we appreciate everybody coming out. All right, guys. We'll be back again soon. Thank you so much. We'll see you right here on the Retro Wrestling Revival next time.